Hello, my name's Emma. I'm one of the Academic Study Skills mentors here at Hope, and this is our exam preparation workshop to help you as you run up to your exam. So in this session, we'll cover the different types of exams you might encounter, how to structure your revision and manage your time. We'll touch over research for exams, revision techniques and making flashcards, what you should do in your exam, and how to reduce your nerves. We do have some general top tips for your exams. Firstly, start early. Don't be leaving everything until the last minute. The sooner you start revising, the sooner you can identify topics that you're unsure of and you can research and read around those topics. We recommend that you complete past exam papers, so your tutors will a lot of the time put these on Moodle so they're accessible to you. However, if there aren't any on Moodle, just email your lecturers and they should be able to provide you with some. We recommend that you try not to panic. As long as you have prepared well for your exam and done your research, then you should have no reason to. If you are looking at making a motivational playlist or a revision playlist, I would strongly recommend using soundtracks with no lyrics or music with lyrics in a language you don't understand, so you don't distract yourself from your reading and your revision. Try and make a revision or study group if you can, so you can quiz each other and fill in each other's gaps in knowledge and learn from each other. It can be quite helpful and keeping you motivated. In terms of tackling motivation issues, so think about the goals you have in the future. What grades do you need to meet those goals? Do you know how much you need to score on that exam to progress to the next year, etc.? Be realistic with how much time you have to revise. Make sure you're not revising 12 hours a day, because it's not realistic and you're going to burn yourself out before the exam. It's just not going to keep you going. Same with not forcing yourself to do your revision. Make sure you're taking breaks, make sure you're keeping engaged. Obviously, don't procrastinate and avoid your revision entirely, but building in breaks during your day will be really helpful. If you find it difficult to study at home, change your environment, study with a friend in the library, etc. Find what works best for you. Look at web blockers or putting your phone in airplane mode so you're not distracted by other sites. You can look on Pinterest for motivational groups if you like, or speak to your friends and flatmates if you're worried and maybe for some good motivation from them. So the different types of exams you'll sit. So there are multiple choice exams where you're given a set of answers for each question. You must pick which one you think is correct. Short answer questions where you have lots of different questions and you'll have to provide some short, concise answers. You'll have essay exams where you write either one or two essays within the time period. Blended exams are a combination of those exams, so you could have half multiple choice, half essay. Scene exams are exams where you'll be given the question a week or two in advance, which gives you more time to prepare more specific details for that exam. Okay, in terms of starting revision, we recommend that you create a revision timetable. Make sure you pop in social events, time to eat, time to sleep on that revision timetable to keep it realistic. Begin looking through the past papers that are on Moodle. Ask for those past papers if they're not available. Make sure you know how much of a percentage your exam counts for and double check your exam timetable. Separate your notes and material into sections based on the division of your course. Select which topics you will be focusing on. If it's an essay-based exam and say you've got 8 topics over 2 essays, focus in on 2 of those topics, maybe 4 of them just in case. So you're not having to revise things that you're not going to need. It's better to revise something more in depth than get an overview of everything and struggle then because you can't show off all your knowledge. So look up anything that you're unclear about that you find. Give yourself a break when you've completed notes for one section. Let yourself digest one lot of knowledge before trying to take on another. Reduce your notes where you can through synthesis. So if you find you've got a lot of notes and they all relate, try and put them into one document or one mind map. Try and highlight what's essential. So these are things normally that your lecturers will give you a little wink for and tell you to note that down. Okay. Highlight pieces of information that really stick out to you or that you're going to find easy to remember. And be sure to scan and skim read sections of your notes so you don't spend too much time recapping old notes and you're more consolidating your old knowledge and then building on that knowledge in preparation for the exam. Okay, so this is an example of a revision timetable template that you could use. So you could pause the screen now and take this one. We have these available as part of the service as well. Okay, so in terms of research and using secondary sources like books and journals, so you want to be using those sparingly during your revision. If you do need to do some research though, be sure that you know what you're looking for specifically. Make a small list of documents that you're going to be looking for. Use Control F if you're looking on online journals or ebooks. Skim and scan. Read only photocopy relevant bits and make sure you're paraphrasing. Mainly your secondary sources are just going to be sort of like the extra cherry on top, so you don't need many of them at all. It's more showing that you know what's been taught in the lectures. Okay, in terms of revision techniques, so before starting your revision on a new topic or section, try and brainstorm to your existing knowledge. So in the centre of your page, put a central idea or theory, and then block out from that and work out what your knowledge base already is and the areas you need to build upon. You can pause here and complete that activity in the corner of the screen, or you can do that at a later date. Okay. Similar to brainstorming, we've got mind maps and spider diagrams. So one of the previous mentors used to create a spider diagram for, well, a mind map or a spider diagram for each topic that he could encounter on the exam, and he'd colour code those. So he'd have authors and dates in a specific colour, he'd have theories in a different colour, findings in a different colour from that, and it helped him when he went into the exams because he could sort of think, okay, that theory, the author's name was in blue, it was Smith. Just helped him that way to process. Alternatively, you could make some flashcards. So each of your flashcards should have a title to help prompt your memory. On the back of the revision card, you can write more context, try and put any authors' names, dates, etc. You can use those to test yourself, so it's quite good if you've got a friend who can test you. I usually colour code mine per topic if I'm doing an exam with like set topics in it as well. I find that quite helpful. Okay, flowcharts, just another way of going. They're particularly helpful if you're going to be doing something like history related or something that follows a set timescale or process. They'll just provide a nice visual, make things easy to remember. Okay, repetition. So if you need to learn some quotes, so split the quotes into smaller sections, so chunking, write repetitively things out, say things aloud, write the section you've just learned down again. It's always best to sort of keep going over. Personally, I used to memorise the author and dates of that I would mention in my essay. I would write like a model essay for what I roughly expected the question to be. Then I would write the author and date in order that I would mention them. I'd memorise them, write them down immediately going into the exam, and that would really help me because I'd linked those authors and dates. I knew what those studies were, so I could write about them there. That was really helpful. Okay, you've also got your bullet points and your post-it notes, so these can be like very short summaries, little facts. You can pop them about then and you can sort of look at them as you're going about day to day and you can start triggering those memories. You've also got things like recording and acrostic techniques. So for recording, you'd record yourself reading your notes out loud and listening to them instead of a revision playlist. I had a friend who used to read everything out to themselves and then they'd listen to it when they were asleep. There's also like acrostic or mnemonic techniques like Richard of York gave battle in vain, etc. that you could use. Okay, there's also things like Quizlet, where you can create quizzes and flashcards for yourself. Okay, so these are some past mentors and their revision techniques. that you can read over in your own time. You can pause if you like here. Okay, so the first things you should do when you enter your exam, so a memory dump. So before you even begin reading the test or exam restrictions, brainstorm everything you've memorised just to help you stop panicking that you're going to forget things. It's just going to increase the quality of your answers. It's going to increase your confidence because you can see that you remember lots of things. So you can learn how to do this in our workshops in person that we do, or we can help on a one-to-one basis. Okay, so first thing to do in exam, so remember how you plan to use your time between planning and writing, so like 10 minutes planning to 50 minutes writing, and stick to those times. Read all of the questions twice and check if the paper is double-sided, as it may have questions on both sides. Reread all the questions again if it's an essay paper to confirm that you're making the right essay choice for yourself. If you have to, you can create 2 plans for 2 different essays, and then you can see based on those plans which is going to be your strongest essay topic and choose that one. Remember all the revision and preparation that you've done, break down your exam question. Just remember, you've got this. Make a 6-point plan of your key points. Read the question again and ask if each of the sections you've planned out answers the question. Okay, flesh out your 6-point plan by adding in quotes and facts, ideas you remember from revision. And you can go back to your mind dump as well to see if there's any information that you can add in that would strengthen your arguments. There is the bug method, so put a box around the instruction word of the exam question, underline keywords, and then glance back and return to the question often to make sure you're on the right track. I'd strongly recommend that you do that. So breaking down the question in the exam, so if you want to pause here and just break this exam question down using the bug method, you're more than welcome to. So yeah, this is how we'd break the exam question. So obviously analysing what you're doing, red highlighting the focus, green highlighting that you're going to be critically analysing, so you're going to look at making positive and negative points, and to what extent is sort of like how effective it is. So that's what you're going to be highlighting. Okay, here's another example as well. Okay, so feel free to discuss that with friends. Okay, in terms of how to begin writing your answers, so make sure you're keeping an eye on time and you're on track. If you're spending too much time on one section of your argument and need to move on to the next, just leave a space and you can come back to it at the end. If you get really short on time, try and direct the person who's reading your exam back to your plan and write 1 or 2 concluding sentences. Always start your conclusion with "in conclusion" or "to conclude." Make sure you signpost in each paragraph with things like "firstly," "in addition," "finally." It just helps show you structure. Remember to use the Peel method of paragraphing, so make a point, explain the point, give evidence, and link on to your next paragraph and back to the essay question. So as if by magic, that's what I've just gone through. So yeah, make sure you're doing that. That just creates a really good structure to your essay, makes it easy to read. Okay, in terms of proofreading your exam at the end, so check that your introduction's answering the question, your conclusion's strong, you've got all your names and dates right to your knowledge. Make sure each paragraph advances your argument and make sure you're not repeating yourself as well. Okay, tips before the exam: don't cram the night before. Make sure you're getting your sleep because you're going to need it. Wake up early enough for a shower, some breakfast, relaxed journey so you're not rushing everywhere and increasing your stress, maybe some last minute going over flashcards. Bring your ID card with you, switch your phone off before the exam and make sure you go to loo as well. Don't surround yourself with other friends and students before the exam unless you can deal with the panic of other people. Maybe plug in some headphones with your revision playlist on to sort of bring everything to the forefront of your mind. You can revise with certain flavoured sweets and use those in the exam as kind of triggering a taste memory. If you are going to do that, make sure you use unusual flavours. If you are really nervous, make sure you get there 15 minutes early, take a deep breath, breathe out completely, tensing your muscles, relaxing them, just get yourself in a good headspace for it. Okay, so reducing exam anxiety and nerves. So nerves before an exam, they just show that you care and that you want to succeed. Being too nervous though, it can impact your motivation and your performance. So be sure to refresh yourself, write down when and where the exam is. If you're anything like me, I always panic that I've got the wrong seat number, wrong day, one time. Make sure you've got it written down clearly. Have only 1 or 2 exam revision cards with you on the day rather than loads of sheets of paper. Just take the ones you're struggling with the most that you are going to want to go over. Nerves can give you dry mouth. No one loves dehydration, so make sure you take your water with you and be sure you've eaten before your exam. If you've not been sleeping well because of nerves, then try and start napping either pre-exam or post-exam before you do any more revision. Okay, and also you can complete breathing exercises or a quick session of mindfulness on apps. So there's things like Calm, Headspace. You can even find free ones on YouTube as well. They can be really helpful. Okay, so this is a little checklist we've come up with to make sure you're exam ready. So if you just want to pause, you can go over that. Okay. And when to end. So don't leave before the end of your exam. Think of the process as a journey. Have a methodological approach to your revision. Make sure you know what you're doing and when. Think about your revision environment and find a working pattern that suits you. We do have one-to-one appointments available for exam and revision support. Okay, with the study or writing skills mentors, and we wish you the best of luck with your exam.